The extinction of women's bodybuilding is the sole result of the judges, like the men, over-rewarding muscularity. Athleticism, symmetry, shape, those are adjectives we don't even use today in bodybuilding. It was beautiful when I started bodybuilding, and then it somewhere evolved into just getting big at all costs.
Today, you get these guys, the short guys, in the off-season, they're 250 or more. The bodies are morphing, and they're not looking good.
Dorian Yates brought in a whole era of just mass monsters. It did change the sport.
I became way too big. You know, the muscle wasn't as much feed, and we started to have body parts that aren't as even as other ones. You know, if you said to me, Jay, were you happy with the way you looked winning Olympias, or were you happy when you were, you know, up and coming? I would tell you the up and coming physique was probably better than the Olympia physiques, because I never planned on being as muscular as I ever was.
Bodybuilders are pushing the boundaries of muscle size. Like, they're pushing to new and new limits that no one else has ever seen.
People still want to see freaks. And so when you're looking at these bodybuilders like a Phil Heath or, you know, a Kai Green, they're just massive guys that are on stage that when people look at them, they're just so freaky looking.
Psychologically, gaining more and more mass and finding the true limits of how much muscle you can gain is an obsession.
Meet Rich Piana, a former NPC competitor who never became a pro in spite of his best efforts. Since then, he has shifted his focus and used an image to build his brand and a massive fan base.
Normally I would get up and take a shot of growth, but I'm out of growth hormone. And it's been harder and harder to get the actual real growth hormone. And you can go to longevity doctors, but it's a fortune, which I can afford, but I still can't see paying that much money, you know. It's really more just, you know, to feel good, hair, skin, longevity reasons. It's not really for the bodybuilding reasons I did back in the day, you know, when I would take, you know, 16, 18 IUs a day to just become, you know, to put on as much muscle and burn as much fat as possible.
There's a lot of things out there that are unhealthy for us that people do on a regular basis. You gotta ask yourself, why are all these guys using the drugs? Because they are training harder, longer, to get bigger, faster, enduring all of these things, so there have to be some beneficial properties.
It's, you know, steroid usage and steroids abuse, and then there's like massive abuse. The long-term effects of using steroids, we really don't know. Because back in Arnold's day, you know, guys took D-ball, you know, test and shit. But these guys are in a totally different realm. I mean, I was a drug dealer, and I don't even know half of the shit that's out now.
Liver and organ. So I've been taking steroids for over 25 years, all right? So, needless to say, you know, it does its damage, and I'm aware of that. I'm willing to take my chances, but I'm gonna do it as safe as possible. When you go on a cycle, your liver enzymes get elevated. When you get off, they slowly come back. But it takes months and months. And over time, you know, it comes a time when they might not come back to normal. You know, if you're gonna go down that road and you're gonna take steroids, you need to do it right. You need to go to a doctor, have your shit checked out, you know, do everything you can to stay as healthy as possible.
I do feel pressure to look a certain way. I shouldn't feel that way, but I do. If I'm sitting here and I'm telling you this and telling you that, well, I better be following that shit too. Looking good is something that was instilled in me as a little kid. You know, my mom was a competitive bodybuilder, so she was very into how she looked. And I was actually raised, basically, the outer shell is very important. At the age of 6, I was in Gold's Gym, playing with He-Man dolls, you know, these guys with these huge muscles. And, you know, my mom would date different bodybuilders because that's, you know, that's what she was into. So I was around big, huge guys all the time, and I was super intrigued, you know? So basically I was either gonna be a bodybuilder or be gay, one or the other.
You want arm wrestle? What's up? You want some of this?
You don't break my shit up.
No. Have a good day, brother.
Likewise.
Hey, what's
What's up, everyone? So today what I want to talk about is using your brain. Again, I'm just trying to help, and this information will help everybody, you know, even help myself. As a teenager, I was really thinking about being a top professional bodybuilder, you know, and being the best I can be, and working my way up the ladder. I gave everything I had. I was eating 12 meals a day, 2 to 3 hours a day with weights, taking all the drugs necessary, and I did nothing else but bodybuilding. And not winning, it just killed me. I'm willing to do whatever it takes, but I'm not getting anything back, you know, and I'm spending a lot of money. I'm messing up my family life. I'm messing up my relationship. You know, my work is shit. You know, everything in my life is shit because I'm focused on bodybuilding. You know, so I'm getting nothing. I'm fucking my life up and getting nothing back. So I think the reality slowly would kick in, and I'd realize, like, what am I doing? I don't need you. You know, so you're not going to be my boss. You know, you're not going to be telling me what to do. You know, because I don't need what you're offering me. Like these are supposed to be YouTube songs, but then when I use them, they won't monetize it.
Okay, if you still have the video up, I can figure out how to get in touch with them and then email them and have proof that it's one of their approved songs.
I never did YouTube to make money. That was never my plan. It was all about, I need to start a YouTube channel to market my products. You know, it's a great way to market. And that's what it was. And then when the money started coming, I'm like, Jesus Christ.
There's a lot of false, I call them false gurus. I'm not a big fan of Rich Piana because I just think he sends out a wrong message to the young millennials. There's a person that I feel, you know, hurts the industry because they show the aspects of taking, you know, the taboo part of taking the drugs, but then they're sitting there selling their products, touting that their products work and other ones don't.
You have to be smart enough to dissemble what's true and what's not. You know, if you don't do that, then shame on you. If you're gonna be great in anything, you have to be a student of it first. None of these big mouth guys on the on social media know that. They haven't been there, done that. So how can they speak to the true science of how it's supposed to be done? They're just a bunch of loud mouths.
You don't have to be a Hall of Fame bodybuilder to have 1 million followers these days. You have to have a niche. Some girls out there have 5 million followers. The only thing that's on their Instagram are pictures of their butts. I mean, I've seen guys out there saying outlandish things and becoming cartoon characters, but because they lift weights, they're classified as, did you see the bodybuilder? So we are now painted with this one big brush.
If there's anything I gotta say I have more of than anyone out there, it's haters. It helps my business, believe it or not. If I have 10,000 negative comments, that helps that video go viral. So yeah, so the haters actually help me. You know, when the time comes that you walk in a room and no one cares about you, or you post a picture and no one comments, you know, that's when things aren't good. They actually stopped, stared at the picture, thought about it, got angry, and took the time out of their day to comment on that picture. You know, I don't take time out of my schedule to comment on pictures. You know, my time is too valuable.
We all get judged, you know. My look might not be right for some women. Oh, she has too much muscle, or oh, she's too small, or not enough muscle, or, you know, everyone's gonna have an opinion. Especially when you're at the top, everyone's gonna judge you.
Everyone, no matter what, whether you're a guy, girl, whatever age you've all, everyone has had to deal with some sort of body image issues. And I put it out there, like, how I felt, and a lot of girls respect me for not doing what everyone else does. Been told to get a boob job. I've been told that I've been scored down because I look more masculine. I've seen all the negative comments. I look like a dude. Like, where are my boobs?
Fair or unfair, it's a fact. If you're quiet and withdrawn, it's hard. And what social media does, it lets your personality come out and let you see, for the fans, what kind of person you are.
The internet has killed everything. It's took what was once a great sport, in my opinion, and now it's watered down. Everybody's a celebrity today.
Without even looking for it, without even going to the magazine racks or anything like it used to do, it falls upon you. And now you see a whole new generation opening up.
I still look at other companies that are possibly doing better than me, and my goal is to pass them up. Or YouTube channels, my goal is to fly by them, you know, and I see how many subscribers, how many comments, how many views, you know, and my goal is to do whatever it takes to be better than them, you know, and it's the greatest feeling when you pass them by.
You have someone like Kai who's who's big in social media, but also is a great champion. But then there's a lot of other ones that could have higher followings. Do I think it's right? I mean, I think it's actually two different things. You know, you work to be a pro bodybuilder or you work to be popular on social media. A lot of times they both don't mesh together.
I remember moments of achievement and being at a very high place, being at the center of a big stage with a lot of attention. And I can remember interviews. Well, how does it feel? What does it feel like? You know, you see you on the cover of a magazine, or they see the microphones tilted toward you. But if you get a chance to see where they were starting from, you might find out that you have a hell of a lot more in common.
Kai Green's an interesting read. You know, Kai Green came from the streets. He came from the bottom up. And I don't think Kai's dream was to be a professional bodybuilder. When you struggle, you come from a boys' home, I think you look just for a place to belong.
I remember being in an institutional facility, and one day in a meeting with the director of the facility, he said, "You leaving this place, we don't question your ability to survive." He said, "What I question is the quality of your survival." Fast forward, years later, what have you done?
For the last year, Kai has been working on his graphic novel, Chronicles of King Kai. With New York Comic-Con days away, Kai visits his collaborator to finalize the first edition.
And allow them to imagine what the end will be. You know, tune in Comic-Con, you know, 2000, whatever. But the point that I'm just trying to make is that there was a time when the world would sooner see me as a 300-pound black guy with an 8-inch scar down the side of his face. He would know nothing about feelings of vulnerability. One thing that I've noticed, particularly when I was a kid, when drawing, I would see how people could turn around and, you know, be so quick to judge what your project looked like in its earlier stage. When you're drawing or you're starting out, you know, people are less likely to encourage you and think, oh, that doesn't look like it's supposed to look. There's a certain level of pressure that comes along with the spotlight that I think can be very easily overwhelming, maddening. Make no mistake about it, it can be a beast.
Kai's a very unique character. I mean, he's got a great body, obviously, but he creates a lot of mystique about him. Obviously, he's the best poser in bodybuilding. He's the most entertaining poser, that's for sure.
He's very friendly, and one-on-one, he's very real. If you get him at the right time, he'll spend an hour talking to you. You could be just, you know, some woman or some man off the street, and if you ask him a question, he'll sit down and he won't answer it. He'll explain it in vivid detail. He's not like, oh yeah, thank you very much. He's like, no, well, the reason this is that way is because the situation of the matter to the left.
Do you think some fans will turn away from Kai because he's not competing?
I think it didn't help him. I mean, he's always gonna be popular and he's always gonna be a big star, but I think it did hurt him, to tell you the truth. I do. The Olympia is the World Series. So for him to not do that, I thought was, in my opinion, not a good business decision.
Kai Green and Phil Heath, like, you know, Phil Heath was the winner, but Kai Green was right there in popularity. And, you know, he was getting more fan appeal than Phil Heath was.
Do you think Kai quit because he thought he couldn't win the Olympia?
I don't think in Kai's mind he really thinks that he can't beat Phil, because I think Kai's a warrior, and I think if he gets to it, he could beat anybody if he really wants to. Do you think he dropped out because of that?
Listen, man, it's been a long time coming. I get chills when I think about what's really happening here. You know, sometimes people, they really just don't know. This has been a long journey just to get to this point, and the seed is actually starting to bloom. Each day we get a step closer, and with each opportunity, we make history.